Something unprecedented is unfolding across America right now, and the vast majority of citizens remain completely unprepared. The financial establishment isn't talking about it. Washington is silent, and ordinary Americans, struggling to survive from one paycheck to the next, have no idea what's coming. There's a number you need to remember: 7.18%. This isn't just another economic statistic to scroll past, it's a red alert. This is the exact loan delinquency rate that preceded the catastrophic collapse of 2008. And today, in 2025, that number has returned with a vengeance. But here's what makes this moment infinitely more dangerous than the last crisis. Back in 2008, American households still had savings cushions. Today, Americans are drowning in over $18 trillion in total debt. Credit cards are maxed to their limits. Savings accounts have been drained to empty. Retirement funds have been raided, and now the layoff wave has begun sweeping across every sector of the American economy. Tesla eliminated thousands. Google cut deep. Amazon slashed its workforce. Meta, Microsoft, Apple. No tech giant has been spared. In just 6 months of 2025, over 200,000 jobs have been eliminated, and that's only what's been publicly reported. Behind every pink slip is an American family, now counting down 90 days until they lose everything they've worked for. Right at this moment, as you're reading these words, nearly 1 million American families are teetering on the edge of foreclosure. Not sometime next year, not a theoretical possibility, right now. The foreclosure tsunami that's been building quietly beneath the surface has finally burst through the dam. Florida has become ground zero. 1 in every 267 homes in the state is already in active foreclosure proceedings. But here's the most shocking twist. This time, it's not just the working poor or subprime borrowers getting crushed first. It's doctors, engineers, tech professionals, and senior executives with six-figure salaries who believed they were financially bulletproof. The professionals who did everything right, who followed all the rules, who bought the American dream package. They're the ones filing for bankruptcy protection first. The 2008 financial crash has returned, but it's wearing a terrifying new disguise, and the worst is yet to come. In just the first 6 months of 2025, more than 187,000 American properties received foreclosure filings, a 5.8% increase that Wall Street analysts labeled completely unexpected. But watch how the acceleration accelerates. March showed a 9% spike. April jumped 13.9%. By August, foreclosures had exploded 18% year over year compared to the same period the previous year. This isn't normal market fluctuation. This isn't a temporary correction. This is economic acceleration into full disaster mode. The mainstream media continues pushing the narrative that American housing remains fundamentally strong because prices haven't collapsed yet. But that's pure statistical manipulation designed to prevent panic. Behind those seemingly stable price points lies a brutal truth. Nearly 1 million American homeowners have already fallen multiple months behind on their mortgage payments. These aren't irresponsible speculators who bought homes they couldn't afford. These are working families being forced to choose between buying groceries for their children and keeping a roof over their heads. That's not an exaggeration. That's the stark reality for millions of Americans right now. American consumer debt has reached a staggering $18.04 trillion. Credit card balances alone have hit $1.21 trillion, with average interest rates exceeding 20% for the first time in modern history. And here's the most terrifying number. Once again, 7.18% of loans are seriously delinquent, more than 90 days past due, the exact same delinquency rate as 2008. History isn't just repeating itself, it's making a photocopy with darker, more permanent ink. But this crisis carries exponentially more danger than 2008 because back then, the catalyst was bad loans and reckless lending. Today, the problem is far more fundamental. The basic cost of living in America has become completely unaffordable for the majority of citizens. The median American home price now sits between $422,000 and $600,000, depending on the region. With conventional financing requiring 20% down, an average down payment demands over $85,000 in cash, an amount that most American families will never be able to save in their entire working lives. But here's what's truly crushing families. The mortgage payment itself isn't even the primary destroyer anymore. It's everything else stacked on top that's burying homeowners alive. Insurance premiums have skyrocketed 25% year over year in states like Florida, with some homeowners seeing increases of 100% or more. Property taxes across America are rising at the fastest pace since 2019, with no end in sight. Condo and townhome owners nationwide are being blindsided with special assessments costing $30,000, $50,000, even $100,000 or more to cover building repairs, safety upgrades, and insurance shortfalls. These aren't one-time expenses that families can budget for. These are permanent structural cost increases that transform once affordable monthly housing payments into inescapable financial death traps. The National Association of Realtors Housing Affordability Index has collapsed to 94.4, which means that for the first time in modern American history, the median income family cannot afford to purchase the median-priced home. Let that sink in. The average American family can no longer afford the average American home. This isn't a temporary market blip. This is structural economic collapse disguised as stability, and it's only going to get worse. Florida has effectively become America's economic canary in the coal mine, the warning signal for what's about to happen nationwide. 1 in 267 homes across the entire state is in foreclosure. Orlando, 1 in 234. Jacksonville, 1 in 241. Miami, 1 in 247. Tampa, 1 in 302. These aren't abstract statistics on a spreadsheet. These are real American families being uprooted from their homes and communities. The deadly combination of massive insurance premium hikes, surging property taxes, and brutal new building safety regulations implemented after the Surfside condo tower collapse has created a perfect storm that's financially crushing both homeowners and investors. Major insurance companies have completely abandoned Florida, leaving desperate homeowners with state-backed Citizens property insurance plans that cost triple what they paid before, if they can get coverage at all. Real estate investors who bought properties during the pandemic boom are now desperately trying to dump them as carrying costs explode beyond any reasonable expectation of rental income. The Florida real estate market has essentially frozen solid. Sellers can't afford to sell at current prices without taking massive losses, and potential buyers can't afford to buy because of sky-high insurance and tax costs. It's economic paralysis, and this crisis has spread far beyond Florida's borders. Alaska foreclosure rates are up 55%, Rhode Island up 51%, Wyoming up 46%. When states with zero economic similarities, coastal and landlocked, warm and frozen, urban and rural, all collapse together simultaneously, it's no longer a local problem. It's systemic national failure. The slow-motion collapse is actually the most dangerous kind because people still believe they're safe. They still believe it's someone else's problem that won't affect them. By the time they realize the crisis has reached their door, it's already too late. 1 missed mortgage payment becomes 3, 3 becomes 6. Then the foreclosure letters start arriving in the mailbox. And if you think having a stable, high-paying job protects you from this crisis, the new American layoff wave is about to destroy that comfortable illusion. The technology sector alone has eliminated over 200,000 jobs in 2025, and these aren't entry-level positions or junior employees. These are senior engineers, experienced managers, directors, and high-salary specialists earning between $150,000 and $500,000 annually. Americans who believed their specialized skills made them irreplaceable are being eliminated because artificial intelligence can now perform their jobs faster, cheaper, and without benefits packages. Consider the story of Sarah, a senior software architect living in Seattle. She purchased a $1.2 million home based on her $280,000 annual salary, following all conventional financial advice about affordable debt ratios. Then, her entire 50-person team was eliminated in a single morning Zoom call. Her mortgage payment is $7,800 per month. Her severance package runs out in 60 days. She immediately listed her home for sale, but in a market flooded with panic sellers, she won't even break even after realtor commissions and closing costs. Sarah's story isn't unique. It's being repeated thousands of times across America right now. But the carnage extends far beyond the technology sector. Traditional retail is in complete collapse. Macy's eliminated 2,350 jobs nationwide. Bed Bath & Beyond no longer exists. Walmart has cut thousands of positions despite record revenues. Luxury retailers like Nordstrom are closing stores and shrinking operations. American manufacturing is in freefall as electric vehicle adoption eliminates traditional automotive jobs by the tens of thousands. Steel plants are shutting down. Chemical plants are consolidating. Hotels, restaurants, hospitals. Every sector of the American economy is showing deep cracks. Even American healthcare, traditionally the most recession-resistant industry, is now laying off workers. When hospitals start eliminating medical professionals, you know the economy has entered terminal decline. Doctors, nurses, medical technicians, no one is safe anymore. The old rules about safe careers and recession-proof industries no longer apply in this new economic reality. Here's the critical part that most Americans completely fail to understand. When you lose your job in today's economy, you don't have several months to recover and find new employment. You have 90 days maximum. After 120 days of missed payments, formal foreclosure proceedings begin. After 180 days, eviction. State unemployment benefits typically replace only 50% of your previous income at absolute best, and often far less. A household budget that required $8,000 monthly suddenly collapses into a $3,000 unemployment check. The math fails instantly and completely. Savings accounts are depleted by month 3. Credit cards max out by month 2. By month 4, American families face an impossible choice. Keep the electricity on or pay the mortgage. Pick one. Meanwhile, the costs of American home ownership continue exploding regardless of your employment status. Florida homeowners have watched insurance premiums jump from $2,000 annually to $8,000 or more. California wildfire insurance is disappearing entirely from the private market. Texas property taxes have doubled in many counties. A mortgage payment that cost $2,500 monthly in 2020 is now $3,800 with absolutely zero changes, except insurance and property tax increases. Condo and townhome owners face the most brutal reality. Mandatory special assessments of $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 or more to cover building repairs and reserves. Pay immediately or lose your home through forced sale. There's no third option. And with job losses accelerating across every sector, millions of Americans are going to lose their homes over the next 18 months. But while most Americans face economic disaster, a small group of institutional investors is actively preparing to profit from the largest wealth transfer in modern American history. Investment giants like BlackRock, Vanguard, and dozens of private equity firms have assembled a combined $500 billion war chest specifically to purchase distressed American homes at 40 to 60% below current market values. But here's the secret. Wall Street doesn't want average Americans to know. You don't need millions in capital to participate in this wealth transfer. Foreclosure purchases, wholesale contract assignments, and distressed property rental strategies are generating enormous returns for ordinary Americans who understand how the economic cycle works. A $300,000 home selling today for $180,000 in a foreclosure auction will likely be worth $350,000 or more within 3 years when the market recovers. Fix and flip returns are currently averaging 28% in many American markets. In some distressed areas, returns are exceeding 100% for investors who can purchase with cash and hold through the recovery. We are currently in phase 2 of a predictable 4-phase collapse cycle. Early foreclosures are behind us. Acceleration is happening right now. Maximum distress and blood in the streets buying opportunities will emerge in late 2025 through 2026, and explosive market recovery will begin in 2027. The next 6 to 18 months represent the critical window of opportunity. This is when American banks panic and start accepting absurd lowball offers just to clear inventory off their books. When desperate homeowners will sell for anything to avoid complete foreclosure and credit destruction. When entire neighborhoods can be acquired for literally pennies on the dollar relative to previous peak values. Because here's what most Americans don't realize. Banks are absolutely terrified right now. They're sitting on massive shadow inventory, thousands of foreclosed homes they're keeping off the market and hiding from public view to avoid triggering price collapses. But federal banking regulations will soon force them to unload everything onto the market simultaneously. And when that panic phase begins, banks will accept deal structures they would instantly reject under normal circumstances. Seller financing with minimal down payments, lease option agreements, 50% cash offers on properties worth double. Banks paying all closing costs. Huge repair credits thrown into deals. Everything becomes negotiable when institutional desperation sets in. High mortgage interest rates that are scaring away typical home buyers. They're not a problem for investors. They're actually a massive competitive advantage. High rates mean dramatically reduced competition from retail buyers. Prices fall further. And when rates eventually drop back down, as they always do, property values explode upward. Early buyers get rich twice. Once from low purchase prices during the crisis, and again from refinancing into much better rates during the recovery while owning assets that have appreciated 50 to 100%. By December 2025, foreclosure filings across America will likely surpass 250,000 per 6-month period. By mid-2026, expect bank failures larger than Silicon Valley Bank's collapse. By 2027, institutional investors will own approximately 40% of American single-family rental properties. These aren't wild predictions. These are mathematical trajectories based on current acceleration rates. And now we arrive at the final truth about economic collapses. They don't happen because everything fails at once. They happen because one critical thing fails at exactly the wrong moment and pulls everything else down with it through cascading interconnected failures. A major bank freeze that triggers deposit runs, a currency crisis that destroys purchasing power overnight, a supply chain break that creates shortages, a government debt default that crashes bond markets. All it takes is one spark to ignite the entire powder keg. And once mass panic begins, speed becomes the ultimate killer. Fast bank withdrawals, fast layoffs, fast market sell-offs, fast shortages, fast business closures. True economic collapse is not loud and dramatic at first. It is simply fast. Faster than anyone expects or can react to. American government institutions will desperately try to control three things: the message, the money supply, and the people's reaction. Not to save you, but to prevent the entire system from collapsing under the weight of your panicked response. But by then, the breaking point has already been passed. The cascade has already begun. The dominoes are already falling. Because the ultimate truth is brutally simple, the collapse is no longer a theoretical forecast of what might happen. It's a mathematical trajectory of what is happening right now. The dominoes have already toppled. The American financial system didn't fail today. It failed years ago. Today, we're finally seeing the consequences play out in real time across every community in the nation.